Okay, I'm back at home in my basement workshop, and we're continuing our discussion on bandsaws, and now we're going to talk about the vertical metal cutting bandsaw, sometimes called a contouring saw, because it will cut curves and circles as well as straight lines. And of course the other horizontal machines are meant strictly as cut-off saws. This is a very old saw. It's a Boyce crane 14-inch, and actually it was metal cutting and wood cutting, and there is quite a substantial gearbox in the back, but I use it only for metal cutting because I have two Delta 14-inch wood cutting saws that I use for wood. But this originally had Bakelite wheels, and it was made during the war, and they were cracked, so I had to retrofit it with some other wheels, and these wheels have tires on them. This has a 4-speed belt on it in addition to the gearbox, so there's high and low. It'd be 8 speeds total, but I keep it on a speed of about 100 feet per minute, which is a very good universal speed. Presently I have it equipped with a 1/2-inch wide bimetal blade. I forgot the pitch on it, which I'll tell you in a few minutes. Let's take a look at the inside of it now. Okay, I got the doors open. Kind of dark there at the bottom, but these are 14-inch wheels, and when you change the blades, there is a knob or a crank right above that light, that work light that you see there, and that allows you to tension the blade. And on the back side there is a tensioning guide, so you get the right amount of tension. It's spring loaded. Also there's a tilting mechanism on there because we have to track the blade on these flangeless wheels, same as on a woodworking blade, and by tracking it I mean we need to tilt the wheel, which is tilting it like this. Not that much, of course, but that's what tracks it, and then you have to adjust your blade guides as well. I'm on the back side now, and again this is the crank here that raises and lowers the wheel in order to tension it, and there's a little needle right here telling you when you're at the right tension. There probably was a decal there at one time. This is the adjustment for tracking the wheel, tracking the blade, that is tilting the blade, tilting the wheel. This knob allows you to raise and lower the blade guide and the guard. The table tilts, so here is the clamp. Actually there's one in the front too. There's a trunnion system there for tilting the table, as there is on any bandsaw. Here's one of the adjustments for the lower blade guide, and here's the adjustments for the upper blade guide, because there are well, I'll show you when I get around to the front. This is a close-up of the upper blade guide on this Boyce crane. The lower one is similar, but there is a roller on the back bearing, and the blade pushes up against the roller, and the roller spins when you're putting pressure and feeding your work. There's an adjustment there when you change blade sizes to move this bearing in and out. There's also an adjustment on these guides here to move in and out as well, so that they rub on the blade but not on the teeth. If the teeth go through the guide, it will damage both the guide and the teeth on the blade. So blade adjustments are important on a vertical bandsaw. Now when you adjust the blade guides for wear, these two set screws here will allow them to move in and out, and these are hardened. As they wear or wear irregularly, they can be ground flat again, and they are preventing the blade from twisting. These probably need to be brought up a little bit because you can see a little bit of wobble in there. That's enough on the blade guys, because every blade manufacturer or every saw manufacturer is going to have a slightly different version of blade guides. A do-all is probably the best. The Dual company was the first company that made a real good vertical bandsaw that was industrial quality, and this is a good book by Dual. It's an old one and it's a smeller, very much mildewy, but it's about a 200-page book, and it covers just about everything you could ever want to know about vertical bandsaws. Most of the Dual saws had band filing attachments as well. Now, the Wilkie brothers, this was written by Leighton Wilkie, were the leaders in contour saws, and a real successful contour saw could not be made until they had mastered the welding of bandsaw blades, and quality bandsaw blades that could stand industrial use, and a weld that would not break. As you know, the more narrow that the bandsaw blade is, the tighter the curve that you can cut. For instance, with an 1/8 inch blade you can cut 1/8 inch radius. If you got a 1/4 inch blade, you're going to be able to cut a 1 inch radius. Or I guess it's a 5/8 radius, I'm on the wrong side here. A 1/2 inch blade, like I have mounted now, allows only a 2.5 inch radius, so you can't cut very sharp curves at all with a wide blade. This is a similar radius guide that I had. I think it came from this is from a woodworking manufacturer. Get yourself one of these books. It's a really good book. Let's talk about safety. Make sure that you move the blade guide down as close to the work as possible, and don't do that while the machine's running. That way the blade is well supported and there's very little blade for you to run your fingers into. Now when you're sawing through something like this, don't just use your thumb to push like that. In the high school, I can't tell you how many kids ran their thumb into the Dual bandsaw blade. The good thing about a metal cutting bandsaw blade is that the saw blade runs so slowly that you just get a bad cut rather than taking your thumb off. Use a wooden block or another piece of metal to push against your work. Alright, let's take a cut. Turn off the motor before making any adjustments. Now I'm going to show you how to cut round stock. Now when you cut round stock and you hold it like this, I guarantee you that it's going to turn on you. And it's going to spin on you. It could break the blade, but quite often it pinches your fingers as this rolls. So you've got to clamp the work some way. And I like to use a regular drill press vise laying on its side like that, and not like this. That's no good, because when you hit the blade, that's going to pull it down like that and pinch or break the blade. So lay the vices like this, and then the work cannot rotate. But also use a wooden block to push. That's a very good method.